Well, good evening, and welcome to another Sunday night flight with Kazaki Flyer 66. I had a little bit of problems last week, but we seem to have mostly recovered from them. I think there's still some issues to work through, but I'm feeling better about it, and so it's on with the show. And one thing you'll notice tonight is that I'm being a little bit more free with the music. So if you want to hear the music, you'll have to, well, tune in to the live VOD here or the live show here. There won't be anything on the VOD, I hope. And we're just going to go on from there. Now, let's see. Tonight we're going to look at what's in the name. What does Kazaki Flyer 66 mean? Well, the name comes from a living history group that I belong to or used to belong to. I don't know what it is anymore. I don't really know what my status is since I'm not the man I used to be. The name comes from our title, the Zoldak Kazaki, which meant river pirates. We were a living history mercenary group set in the Ukraine in the 1560s during their rebellion against the Polish. The Ukrainians came up with the first constitutional government that really a lot of our current United States government is based upon. So let's see, where are we at? We are at Uniform Kilo Delta Echo UKDE along the river in the Ukraine. What we're going to do is we're going to fly up the river toward Kiev, and we're going to use an aircraft that I haven't seen being used in the simulator or broadcast too much in the simulator. I was finally able to get it after some run around and trouble. But it seems to be. I'm very impressed with this little aircraft. For a general aviation aircraft, and this about got it all. It's got all the joys of flying a good, well-rounded aircraft. It it floats, so if there's any water around, you can land on that. It's amphibious, as you can see by the wheels here. She can land on the land as well, so she's not going to let you down there. And besides that, well, let's see what we can do here. First off, we need to get started. And it took me a month to get this bird, but I think it was worth the wait. So, as you can see in the cockpit layout here, we've got basically the only thing we need is a moving map, which is I can take care of with a tablet up here. But I've got instruments, I've got VORs, I've got DMEs, I've got a very nice rudimentary autopilot to, when my arm gets tired, it'll keep me in the air. And other than that, let's see what we can get started here. Let's see, we can close the door first. Okay, door latched, secure. We're going to start with the right tank today. Let's get at the buttons behind the yoke here. Start. Let's see, battery and generator. Go ahead and turn our pitot heat on. Beacon on. Nav lights on. Landing lights on. Brake is set. Throttle working. Prop mix working. Mixture working. Check. Fuel pump to low. Pump up the hydraulics just a little bit. We want to lean out the window or holler out the window here. Let's see if we can open our door up. Clear prop. Not that we have to worry too much since it's behind us. This is a pusher aircraft. Find the click spot here. There it is. Magneto to right, left, and both. Okay, we've got fuel, got air. Now we've got spark. Engine start. See, it automatically closes it's spring loaded and it closes the switch. Our RPM's up just a little bit. Let our engines warm up. Oh, it must be a cool morning. We're putting out a cloud of smoke this morning. Hopefully we're not burning too much oil. I'm going to check our map here. See if we can get if there's any VORs that we need to be aware of. No, but there's a few NDBs out there. We're not going to use those. This is mostly going to be a visual flight, just flying up the river. We won't really have to worry about VORs until we get towards Kiev at the end of our trip. Even Kiev doesn't really. It has ILS, but it doesn't have a VOR. Oh, there's one. There is one toward Kiev. We'll go ahead and tune it now, just so we don't have to later. It's on 115.9. 115.9. Okay, we'll just leave it on standby there. Go ahead and turn our avionics on in the aircraft. Okay, avionics on. Take a look at our instruments over here. Fuel is full, right and left. Oil temperature is coming up. Oil pressure also coming up. Cylinder temperature is low, but towards the green here. We'll give it just a couple more minutes. So we can't do from inside is check our exterior lights. One thing that's fun about this aircraft is it actually has a rotating beacon. Here, if I change the day to night for just a second, you can see what I mean here. Watch the light as it goes around here. It actually rotates. Just a little detail with this aircraft that amuses me greatly. Okay, let's reset our time. We want it, about 8 o'clock in the morning, local time, on November 12th. I do be able to, there it is, well, and the mouse moved. I miss being able to set it minute by minute. Here we go at 8 o'clock. Let's see. Okay, 8 o'clock local time. The reason I've got this for is the map here. All right, we seem to have taken care of all of our utilities and checked everything. Got our little pusher prop going in the back. Our little water rudder at the end of our pontoon. Yes, Colonel Fork, that's what I do, is I use the mouse wheel to adjust the time. I still miss it. I have to play with it to get it right. Hello, Viper Strike. Nice to see you here. Congratulations on a really wonderful round-the-world trip in your DC-3. Let's do a quick check of the winds here. 223 at 15 knots. It's a bit steep. Welcome to fall, folks. This is fall in the Ukraine. Get my feet up here. Clear left. Clear to the right. It's going to be a crosswind takeoff wherever we go. See if I can see what runway that is. It's like runway 02 down there. We'll just use that. Now if I can figure out the taxiway pattern here. Okay, swing left and taxi all the way down. Brakes released. Start bringing up manifold pressure. There we're starting to roll. Don't want to put up too much speed. The undercart is kind of narrow. That's cheering. Nice big friendly X. Do not use. Oh. We're going to use it anyway. It's paved in the way we are going. We'll use the taxiway here. Colonel Fork, you may assume things, but you haven't done anything bad, and now or ever. I don't think you're one of the most grounded people I know. I just like the way that Snarty looks. I keep waiting for James Bond to check one out and go flying in the South China Seas. Okay. Long taxi. See Colonel Fork out there at the end of the runway waiting on us. Beware of traps, Colonel Fork. I don't know if the Ukraine's ever had the beaver trapping craze that North America did, but beavers should beware of traps. Okay, now let's get her turned around here. Hold short. Start tapping our brakes. Come up to the hold short line. Okay, stop. Okay. Brakes set. Okay, run the engine up. We want about 1200 RPM. 1,000. We'll go with 1200. Now we're going to do our quick check here. We'll go to the right magneto. Getting about a 50 RPM drop. Back to both. Let her speed back up. Now we'll check the left magneto. And there's our about 50 or so RPM drop. We'll go back to both magnetos and let her build back up. Yeah, Viper Strike has accomplished one of the great achievements in flight simming and in any kind of whether real world or simming accomplishments. He has completed an around the world trip, and not just a shortest possible route around the world. He's traveled to just about every country you could with his DC-3 and really experienced the great beauty that this simulator has to offer as you travel around the world. Okay, we're going to turn our transponder on. Yeah. Yes, I can speak English badly, but I speak it. On. Click the altitude reporting. Squawk. Squawk 7000. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead. We're going to go up to about 1,500 feet here, or try to. 1450. Okay. Okay. Reduce throttle. These brakes. And here we go. One thing I was impressed by was now if you monitor the engine and try to fly her right, she'll go about 130 to up to about 140 knots here. But if you fly her rental, she'll cruise at about 150. Not going to go all the way rental. We're going to try to keep her in the green tonight. Okay, coming up to our runway. Follow the little yellow line. Okay, get out here on the center line. Remember, this is a crosswind takeoff. Let's see if we can give her the gun here and do a turn and burn, as they would say, even though there is no burn. Unless it's me burning at the end of the runway. Power coming in. A little bit of a left aileron to tilt the wings down. Rudder's alive. 60 knots. Coming up. There we go. We're up. Gear up. Start trimming. A little bit of up trim here. Pull our RPM back to about 2400. Okay, we want to fly to the west here and pick up the river. Fork is taking off. There we are at 1900 feet. Pull our power back a little bit. Nice 20 inches of manifold pressure. That'll give us right in the middle of the green. We'll see where that leaves, what airspeed that leaves us to. Still trimming. Activate our autopilot. Okay, we're at 1100. .500 feet per minute. Move our heading bug. Select heading. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Altitude even tells us. And it's not Betty for a change. Okay, leveling off at 1,500 feet. Coming up on the river. When we get to the river, we'll swing north. I have to set that up. Traffic. Change fields. I need ATL on that one. And ETE on that one. Right. Okay, we're doing approximately 125 knots and getting 108 knots of ground speed. So we've got a little bit of a headwind here. This is just a nice little utility aircraft. Keep my mic volume just a little bit heavy. Okay, coming up on the river here. As you can see, this is a rather large river, very navigable. As we start swinging north here. And we'll adjust our heading as we come closer to it. We just want to follow the river. So about looks like 337. Yeah, that's it. That should let us stay over the river here for a bit. Okay, indicated 126 knots, 2,400 RPM, and 20 inches of manifold. And pick that up a bit. 21 inches of manifold pressure. We'll go with about 340 here. Use the quartering wind to help push us a bit. Always fly with a partner, a co-pilot in your seat beside you. Two pair of eyes better than one pair of eyes. I'd be lost without my life mate beside me. So at least I'm kind of glad that Asobo gave us the choice of a female to put in your seat beside you. Not Friends gave us pets to put in our seats. Trouble is, when you're looking from outside, get the camera balanced right here. so we can see in the airplane. Come on, cooperate. There. And you're looking from outside, it's hard to see the cat that's sitting beside you. And as much as I do like dogs, I've had dogs over the years, I'm a cat guy. To adjust our heading here. Stay with that river. See how it bends and curves around up here. So we're doing 130 knots. That's pretty good for a little float plane. One thing I discovered by accident, you see this lever up here where my mouse is pointing? That's a prop reverser. If you ever want to land short and stop quick, just grab that handle with both hands and pull. Only do it on the ground, though. You do that in midair, and you're going to have a little bit of an incident. If you're in any kind of airspace with a control tower, they'll have a number for you to call. And that number is going to be to your mechanic, who is going to say some really choice words. And I don't care where you are in the world, that language has never changed. You can look how flat the Ukraine is. You can see why this is pretty much the breadbasket of Europe. It's like flying over Kansas out here. Kansas or Nebraska. Kansas, Nebraska, western Missouri, eastern Colorado. I want to stay well clear of those. Our line, as Charlie Brown would say, kite us, eat 'em up us. We won't be going far enough north to get irradiated, but it's still a beautiful part of the world to look at and to see. We can go lower, but I think from up here at 1500 we can actually get a view of the surrounding countryside. I'm just in love with the design of this little aircraft. It's a four-seater. You can look around in the cockpit here. Our passenger seat and a bench seat beside us, behind us. A little hold for if they're friendly. Colonel Fork is now ahead of us on the river. think he took the shortcut across the horseshoe bend here. Now, the one thing I've noticed about this aircraft, it stays on D-lock. You cannot change it to GPS or nav. Well, now I can. I tried it earlier, I couldn't. You learn something new every day. Or things just begin to work. Okay, we'll come up on our heading onto our magenta line here, and we'll let the autopilot totally take control. Save our arms for later. Unless we see something really interesting to look at. For once, I didn't fly this route in advance. Okay, now, there. Now the nav has it, and here we go. Which lets us look from the outside, follow her around. Such a pretty little airplane. I'm just glad Colonel Fort doesn't have a Solex agitator. What is? Oh, and the laser is a bonus. We're now in the air. Let's see if we can tune the radio. I don't know how far we are out from Kiev. Okay, we're at least 200 miles out from Kiev. Even at its longest range, I don't think we're going to pick up that VOR just yet. That one's only on the unless you have Navigraph, it's only a 38 miler. Now, my HT is a 195 DME. We'll tune in. It's 117.0. We'll tune it on Nav 2. All right. Change frequencies. Here we go. We're still outside of range. We're flying the magenta line, but we'll get closer to the river again. Picked up a knot or two here. Look at the farmland here. How's that for some pretty fields? Flying out of MSFS generic into satellite imagery here. Now through add-on linker, I'm having a little bit of trouble getting my Rex AccuSeason to update as often as it should. These trees should be golden brown by now, or even stripped for winter. Even still, it's pretty country to fly over. These fields look like here at home. Big bean fields. could definitely use that as an emergency airstrip if you had to divert. Same for this field here. One thing you'd have to do is stay out of those power lines down there. Coming up on our first city here and our first waypoint. I'm not even. I respect the Ukrainian language too much to even try to pronounce the word of this airport. It's Uniform Kilo Delta Delta. It's 3 miles out here. You can see it from here. We'll turn a little bit more westerly at this airport as we follow the Dnieper River. As wide as this river is, you can see why it was such a natural roadblock throughout history. Now let's see if I can push some buttons here. That worked. Whether it will work and do what I want it to in a minute or not, it is totally unknown. Because I've used this during the week and I didn't write down the settings from the last session that I was online, I don't remember where to go with to get the balance right. But Colonel Fork, I'm going to need your help. Just listen and tell me up or down. Up, up, okay, up we can do. How about that? Okay, we'll try giving her, let's see, she's at 55. Go up to about 56. See what that does. I'm going to write that down and put a post-it on my laptop here. I don't know where to set this thing again. Play with it during the week. Okay, we're going to cut our speed back. We don't need to go this fast, actually. Poor Beaver, I don't think will be able to keep up with us too much at this speed. We're going to come in at say 19 inches of manifold pressure. The more I fly it, I really like this little Nardi. If you've ever watched Porco Rosso, I can almost see this being one of Theo's designs. Definitely Italian. Our next stop on our little journey up the Yenneper River here is, it's called Uniform Papa Kilo Lima. Like I said, I am not good at pronouncing Ukrainian words. Sorry if I ramble a bit during the music tracks because, well, on the VOD there's going to be no music at all. I hope. So if you don't hear it here, you're missing it. I had a little bit of trouble renewing my subscription with Epidemic Sound, so I let it go. Quite a lot of urbanization in this area. And as urban as it is, it's amazing how suburban and rural the area still is. I should have eaten more earlier. My stomach keeps rumbling at me. You doofus, you didn't eat. Well, those aren't little red barns, or they may be. We slowed to 127. Let's see if we can get it down to 120. That way even a decent 172 can keep up. Off in the distance, I would swear, I guess it's just the farmer in me. Those look like grain silos over in the distance there. Which, considering the regions we're in, wouldn't surprise me at all. Don't expect a lot of hills and valleys on today's trip. It's all flat land and river. Even North Alabama here is more has more terrain features. But flat or not, this is still a country that should be seen and experienced as much as possible. I've met several people from the Ukraine, and these are great people. They're full of heart. And I'll tell you the truth, I some of them I worry about, and not hearing from them on a day-to-day basis makes me unhappy and kind of nervous, to tell the truth. The only thing that makes it better is to know how strong they really are and how adaptable. I, I, this is just this is a personal opinion, and we all know who what everybody has both of an opinion and something else, and we all know what opinions are full of. But okay, even if this guy conquers Ukraine yet again, Ukraine's been a bone in Mother Russia's side for centuries. Russia gobbles them up and regurgitates them every few years and doesn't know when to quit. Keeps trying because it's the breadbasket of Europe, it wants to control that. There's not really a lot of oil here or other big struggle resources. There's enough, but there's not too much of it. And my opinion is that even if they do conquer this place, it is going to be such an uneasy victory that it's going to be what we call a Pyrrhic victory. You've won, but what are you going to do with it now? If you turn your back for even a second, the dog will bite you. It's much better to pet the dog and feed the dog and make the dog happy. Okay, Matt says, how close are we? We're still a goodly distance out. About 93 miles to our next waypoint. Then another 100 miles to Kiev. The farther we get from the Black Sea, the wider and wider this river gets. This must be navigable for a half a mile wide channel. This isn't just a couple of towboats pushing barges up the river like it is here. You can push a fleet up this river. And the road just ends down there. Got a little small T road that breaks into. Looks like it moves over about a quarter of a mile and picks up again. They're getting long in the tooth now, but looks like a lot of leftover state construction. Colonel Fork is closing up on us nicely. We're doing 125 knots indicated, 109 ground speed, so this is a good speed for flying with folks. Definitely see myself with a piece of land out here pushing cows around. That's something I hope well, let's face it, even in my current condition, I couldn't do it anymore, but I just hope I never have to again, or even try. I'd look silly chasing cows in a wheelchair. Well, Colonel Fork, just take care of yourself, and I hope your ibuprofen kicks in soon. And except for your monitor, I hope you're in a kind of dark room. That works for some friends of mine. Make sure you get a cold compress on your neck as well. Although it's wintertime. That may be just as detrimental to one's health as it is helpful to one's headache. Cure the headache and catch a cold. Not good. When you work for a living, the last thing you want to be is sick. And that does look good, doesn't it? The Beaver is such a classic aircraft. And this is the perfect place for it. And that looks sharp. Pardon me while I push the magic button here. Sometimes that month and a half can seem like forever. At least your company gave you sick days. My company, we didn't have sick days. We had 2 unexcused absences a year, 2 8-hour shifts that we could miss and not have to worry about it. After that, we were tardy, and it started counting against our points. That didn't mean our supervisors weren't understanding and would let us burn through a vacation or so when we needed to. And a lot of us had 15 or 20 years of experience at the factory, so we had 4 to 5 weeks of vacation time that we could burn for emergency use. The general rule was, though, because of work schedules, we weren't allowed to string our vacations together. We couldn't take all 5 weeks at one time. A week here, a week there, that's about it. Like, we couldn't just schedule 2 weeks and go to Florida for a week and a half. Well, we're flying into a headwind for sure. We're down to 105 knots of ground speed. Okay, nav 1 over here. Walk back again. We're still outside of range for DME here. And DME needs to be turned on anyway. There we go. So when we start seeing that, of course, we've got about 20 miles to go before we're in range for that. We've got a little bit longer than that, actually. I don't know. 104, and we should be right at the max range. So if you've got an attenuating radio, it'll start to wiggle around here any minute. Like if you're in a Comanche or something, or one of the black squares. But here in a Sobo's work, just start working. Get our signal lined up here. Okay, that's about right. Go nav, got our DME set to nav 1, and just waiting to start picking stuff up here. We're only at 1,500 feet, so the curvature of the earth is getting in the way. Ooh, at least they put the counterweights on this elevator. There's the cable for the elevator. It's been a rough year, Colonel Fork, but I think we're going to make it through the holidays if the holidays don't push us over the edge. My favorite holiday has come and gone. I miss the old days. I used to be one of the trick or treaters that would run around. Now there's all paranoid and afraid to even go door to door. Rather to go trunk or treating. Paranoid with good reason. Anybody that preys on children, you know, one of my favorite science fiction authors had a solution to that. Beam was many things, but he was rather conservative with his opinions. His solution to that kind of behavior was a quick trial, a quick sentence, and the sentence was take him out back of the courthouse, a 10 millimeter to the back of the head, no discretion of the court allowed. Please carry out the sentence. And bang, bang went the gavel. None of this 20-year appeal process. Oh, there's actually some terrain down there. How about that? There's actually a little bit of a rise to the terrain at the edge of the river. I don't know how well I'm going to do for my Thanksgiving dinner, but I just bought a small piece of turkey. I didn't buy the whole bird this year. One, I can't pick up the whole bird weight, but I think I can manage what I did get. And I can peel potatoes and make my mashed potatoes, so I'm good there. Mashed potatoes, corn, green beans, and just a small bit of cranberry sauce. Not much. I gotta watch my blood sugar. The biggest problem I'll have is just being by myself for the holidays. Family's gone, and pretty much nobody comes to visit or bother. Get everybody flying along here. One thing that's kind of nice about flying in these parts of the world, we're the only group that does. Like when we when we flew with Murph the other day in Greece. Now you see quite a few airliners flying around up there, but a crowd of GA aircraft like we had, that's kind of hard to beat. Or with yesterday with Alice, that was a large group of Comanches. Time to do something stupid here, or at least to try it. Okay, right, I want to go to left. There we go. Our gauge is here. Okay, we've used a quarter off the right tank. We'll wait till we're a quarter down to switch back to the right. Checking our instruments here. Now, one thing, you'll see this little white arc here on our airspeed indicator. This is not only safe flap speed, but it's the same speed we need to be guided by for dropping our floats. During a test flight earlier the last couple of days, I made the mistake of retracting the floats. They're kind of needed. They do hold the airplane horizontal. If you don't have the floats, you tip over. Can't fly or take off like that, but luckily you can still extend them and it'll push the wing back to level. Depending how wide the river is, we may do a quick touchdown in the water just to play with our floats here. Got several cities to come up through, and looks like the river's going to narrow up and then widen back out on us here. I gotta admit that flying with the Fireflies has really taken the turn of providing the stability and, well, the joy in my life that had been missing for quite a long time. It's all just to have such a great bunch of people that surround you. And no, we're not all perfectly normal, and nobody ever is. My only question is there a hydroelectric plant where the river gets narrow up here? Colonel Fork, I think we'd find a way, but to be around. But there's being around and being around, if you know what I mean. And well, I'm glad you guys have let me stay around, as it were. It's kept me grounded, and the meat they, the meat still may be, the heart may be beating, and the lungs may be pumping, but without the fireflies, there's not much reason to keep going. Everything else, the brain has nothing to chew on, and for as bad as my balance in inner ear is shot, the fact that I can still simulate flying an aircraft as well as I do amazes me. I can't drive, but I can fly. That makes zero sense until you figure out, well, crashing doesn't kill anybody in a sim. You get behind the wheel of a real vehicle, you're taking not only your life in your hands, but somebody else's. That ain't worth it, man. You can see why river piracy would be such a prevalent uh, problem on this river. It's just so huge and so many nooks and crannies everywhere. Okay, our nearest airport coming up is, we've got a couple of grass strips at Uniform Kilo. Mike, I'm sorry, I'm going to lose. All I'm thinking is Michael Jackson there. It's Uniform Kilo Michael Jackson, MJ. And there's UKMP, umpire up to the north. We just passed UKML. We had a perfectly functional one from back in the 40s. We should have kept it. I know why they adopted a new one, to kind of try to coordinate it worldwide, but I really like the old way better. Okay, so if it ain't broke, no, leave it alone. But oh no, everybody's got a medal. We can improve it. It is funny. Of course, I'm weird. I find weird stuff funny. What's the old phrase? If you've made at least one person smile today, your day is worthwhile. Well, thank you, Colonel Fork. You just made mine. I do like this little airplane. If I'm not zipping around in a Wildcat, you'll find me in this little booger. I, I like the lines. I like the paint job. And that paint job even looks like a goose. Yeah, like I said, I expect Roger Moore to step out of it at any time. Camera, come on, get it right. Yep, definitely a nanu nanu. At least you're not yelling Shazbot every 5 seconds. And there's still a whole generation that'll never know the joys of that unless they catch it all on reruns. The man was a genius. Yeah, he hid his demons, but we were blessed to have his presence as long as we did. Now that's a big gravel pit. If there was a spawns point nearby, it'd be a fun place to take those nice armored vehicles that Colonel Ford had posted pictures of, or that little armored car that I found on the freeware. I get frustrated trying to drive that little armored car around on the road because you'll get a pretty good distance down the road, and then you'll hit a piece of terrain that isn't visible. Like, oh, this is a solid wall. You can't go past here. Now, I do like free. It's something I can afford. As Roy Clark would say, they were giving away river boats for a dime a piece. All I could do is jump up and down on the bank and yell, "Ain't that cheap?" I would want, I would want flying pumpkins for that. That's the one thing I never missed was shooting a pumpkin. Why I always say I loved the week after Halloween as much as I did Halloween week because I knew I was going to have a target as soon as the holiday was over. At Colonel Fork, we all need more range time. Now, I can't. I have trouble working the slides on my automatics anymore, but I can still work a bolt, and I can I can manage to spin the cylinder on my revolvers, so I'm happy with that. So I can still do a little bit of work. I can still plink with my 22s. Nope, they're calling them apartment buildings and not grain silos. I'm sorry, that's those are grain silos, buddy. I don't know what a Sobo is smoking. Man, I've got a couple of hundred rounds for my 1896. That's still never enough. It's a 6.5 by 55, and I've been the ammo cost more than the rifle did when I bought it. I bought it at I believe it or not, I bought it at a drugstore. It was a model 1894 Swedish Mauser. I said, "Here, I'll sell you the rifle for 80, and I'll throw in 3 boxes of ammo for $20 each." So basically, I got the rifle for $20 and paid for 3 boxes of ammo. Now, one thing that I have run into that the market has dried up on was my my German Mauser ammo. The 8 millimeter stuff. Gosh, that's just dry as a bone. And if you can find somebody that makes new stuff, they're charging $30 a box. Yours in the 7, Colonel Ford? No, there's nothing wrong with 308. I don't have anything in 308, but I'm just too old. Come to think of it, I don't even have. Well, I have one in 30-06. That's it. Everything else is 7.62 by 54R, 8 millimeter, or 6.5 by 55. Although I have two in 39. I'm just not such a big fan of the little bitty, the mediocre ones. Oh, I'm a I'm one of those inheritance friends too. I've got a model 1894 Winchester made in 1909. I looked up the serial number on it. I can believe $90 for 20 rounds. I'd hate to price that 32 Winchester special anymore. Ooh, 375. That's even more exotic than mine. Mine gets exotic with the underbarrel, and we called it the long tom. It had a extra long Winchester barrel on it. It was a bull barrel, and it didn't have a full tube under the barrel. It was just a short 5 round in the stock tube. Yeah, I don't think mine is going to get shot a lot either. I'm pretty sure it could, but not with any kind of modern ammunition. It'd have to be black powder hand loads. Mauser Works I trust, but Winchester, not so much. Hey, we're 26 miles out of our next waypoint here. Thank you, Mr. Moving Map. Now, that's something I thought I'd never hear. I'm just glad you got one. I had one that I shared with my brother. We'd restocked it with this real pale ash wood stock, and it was gorgeous. I kicked myself. Okay, back when I was in college and was a young and dumb college kid, we had a bunch of carbines fall off the back of a truck, and the guy was trying to push them off on us for $50 a piece. And my roommate bought one. It was a paratrooper model. Even the magazine was good on it. And we never had any kind of jams out it or anything. And we fired it a lot in college. One thing about being abandoned from the ladies out west was there were lots of gravel pits to shoot in. There's a company making reproductions that are rather good of the M1 carbines. Hey, I'm still not picking up my either my DME yet or my BOR. We're just too low under the horizon yet. Bouncy, bouncy. A little bit of turb here. Now the one I want is I had a chance to win one on Ian's channel a couple of months ago, but I couldn't afford to buy the merch to qualify to enter the raffle. Those copies of the FG 42s that they were selling. I always wanted a full up FG 42. Those were just sweet rifles. A BAR for half the weight. I've thought about going through the CMP program to try to get a Garand, but get another one, but okay. It's actually on a switch. How about that? This aircraft is complete. Okay, our river has turned into a lake. Push buttons here if I can. Well, there's quite a few of those, Colonel Bork. I'd like to do Dr. Strangelove. Okay, that's not going to work without more playing with, and I ain't got time to do that right now. Yeah, that one or linebacker 2 would be fun to do. I'll just be happy when we get a Flying Iron DC or B-17. How many USB ports can you use? I'd need 4 more, I think, which means getting 2 more trees for USB trees and plugging them all together. And I'd also need 4 more throttle quadrants. Mix and props, please, for quad engines. Yeah, I remember that strike. I was awake for most of it. Yeah, I'm running two USB hubs at the moment. Everything's good here. I just don't have enough for the mix and props for the B-17. Now, if they do what they did with the DC-6 and have our flight engineer operate them, that's fine. Put them all on a ES on the board. EFB, yeah, that's it. Now you can't. I don't know whether how clearly you can see it, but I'm wearing my Mather shirt tonight. I bought T-shirts for all the bases I lived at when I was growing up, and tonight I'm wearing my Mather. I spent 5 years living outside the base there, and that was where Dad worked, and he was training buff navigators. I thought it was just a fancy piece of fun gear to play with on the days that he didn't have his class. But the navigator training module was one heck of a flight simulator. I guess to a 5-year-old, it's all just knobs and buttons to push. Okay, now we're 9 miles out. Now that little sheltered cove area between the island and the peninsula there that the airport's on, we may try an water landing in this place. Get our feet back up on the pedals here. Okay, disengage our friend the autopilot. And there's it actually telling us you've disengaged your autopilot, your airplane. Pull back our power, start a slow descent. Manage our airspeed here. We want to try to get to just under 110 knots indicated. Oh, wow. Been there, done that. At least you didn't do what I did on Allison's stream yesterday. I plumb forgot my gear. I hit the button on my stick, but forgot it wasn't bound to the Comanche. You gotta push the switch on the Comanche. It wasn't until I was hearing that horrible scraping sound on the runway that wait a minute. My gear is still up. The thing I was grateful for is I didn't bend that was a 3-bladed prop, and I didn't bend it. Draw the prop just a little bit more here for speed. Trim up just a little bit while we reach down. Floats down. Flaps 1. Got the water landing. Here's our floats down. Airspeed still coming down. Another knot flat. Okay, we're 180 feet above the water. Slow, slow. Okay, 80 knots, 60 feet, 40 feet. Set the throttles. Someone wants to try this. Now you don't want to work? Worked yesterday. Must be that there's something I'm not doing to get that to work. We I can understand that in the Wildcat. Your right arm's going to get really tired. See, water rudder down, little light on. There it is, sitting in the water. You can see the water rudder works. Pull our flaps up. Really do like this little airplane. And if you want to, you've got this little throw that out. That throws your anchor out. Keeps you from drifting around with the wind. So it may not keep you from turning with the wind, but keeps you from moving around so much. Doesn't let the wind blow you around. Kind of contradictory. When you're inside the cockpit, you look down and to the right, there's nobody there except your little anchor tag. But when you look from the outside view, your partner's sitting beside you. This just made the marketplace. I was having trouble getting into my any builds account, but when I got it through the marketplace and it's working fine. I hate that I wasn't able to give them my direct support like I wanted to. At least they're getting something. Like Wishy Bob's like a cork on the water. You can be, depending on whether you rented her or you own her, you can go pretty quick in this little bird. I think she'll even keep up with the Comanche. You push it. Okay, let's pull in the anchor here. Just click on that cord and it brings the anchor in. Put some power in. Steer a little bit to the right here. Okay. And so while I'm on the water here, throw that anchor back out. And I'm going to switch my screens and I'm going to take a bio break. And then we'll fly on up to Kiev. There we go. Now just listen to the engines purr here for just a couple of minutes. I'll be right back. Well, I'm back. Gonna have to hang a biohazard door sign on that door of the bathroom, but I'm back here with you. How we doing fuel wise here? Well, it looks like we're almost ready to switch tanks. We've still got a little bit more left in the left than we do in the right. Feet back up on the pedals here. Pull our anchor in. Pull the tab. There's our anchor in. Start adding some power. We're on the step. A little bit of right rudder here to build up some speed. Add in the power real slow. 60, 70. Keep back on the stick. And we're up out of the water. Start trimming up here. Okay, floats up. And just caught the end of that. And we're going to raise up our water rudder. Up. Oh, nice. As far as books go, anything by John Parshall is highly recommended. They're for fact-based books, they're really marvelous to read. I really enjoyed his videos of exploring the wrecks of the Akagi and the Kaga that they did a couple months ago. He was like a little kid. He was so excited about seeing those wrecks for the first time in human eyes for 80 years.
Altitude.
Okay, yeah. After correcting for barometric pressure, set her up versus for about 300 feet per minute here. Just a gradual climb. 19 inches of boost, please. Manifold pressure. Still running 2400 RPM. We're running parallel to our course here. Switch to heading mode. Get it back over to the course marker. Oh, I hope you enjoy that. I've got 5 copies of that book. 3 in hardback and 2 in paperback. The only thing I wish I could have done was gotten them signed when I had the chance. I had all of my BattleTech books signed by Michael Stackpole, and I had all of my Dragon Riders of Pern series signed by Anne McCaffrey before she passed away. I got to meet her twice. Such a lovely woman. It was amazing how well she blended science fiction and romance. Activate the nav button. Here we go. It's seeking. I think it's got it. There's an operation for buffs in Red Storm Rising you might appreciate. It's called Operation Nordic Hammer. You'll like it when you get to it. All of Tom's books are really excellent reads. Don't judge the book by the movie with Hunt for Red October. The book is a lot different. I'll put it this way. Dr. Ryan's wife is a little bit more involved than she was in the movie. Yeah, they have. I've seen them. They've done fairly well with it. They've been able to pretty much recreate the scenes from the actual books. The Soviets pull a scam with a when they in the early portions of the war and damn near sink the USS Nimitz, and it's a sobering thought of how easy it would be to do. And you you got to remember, this was back when the Nimitz had a full flight deck full of Tomcats. And believe you me, Tom Clancy makes use of the Phoenix. And these aren't short little firefight uses of the Phoenix. These are I can see you, but you can't see me shots. Got to remember, they rotated flight groups in and out aboard each carrier as she made port, and they would take one flight group off of ops and put another one on. Leftovers of the South Pacific campaign. I've got 3 planes from this flight group, 15 planes from that flight group, and 12 planes from that flight group over there. We're just going to put them all together into one squadron. And let's see, we've got 15. We'll use those guys' call sign as the squadron number. And for the first part of the war, squadrons matched the carrier. Like SB6 meant you were on the Enterprise. Scouting 6. BS6 was bombing 6, or VB6 was bombing 6. F6 was fighting 6. Which is why I've just fallen in love with my Jimmy Thatch paint scheme for the Wildcat. They've really did a good job with it too. And what's fun is if you look at when they made the 1976 Midway movie, there was only one flyable Wildcat in the air at the time. They were using movie magic to clone it as many times as they could for the squadron shots. They didn't even have any SBDs to use. They were using Vindicators. They did have a Vindicator to film. And their poor Vindicator did double duty. One minute it's a dive bomber, the next minute it's portraying a devastator torpedo plane. Now there's some guys I really want to give thanks to. The guys of VT, VT5, VT6, and VT8. Those guys, well, it wasn't for nothing, fellas. Okay, that on the unauthorized history of the Pacific War podcast. when Captain Toady took us on a tour of Pearl Harbor. One of the markers and museum pieces to visit is the Midway Museum there, and the markers for those gentlemen. What I got tickled at was a scene in the movie In Harm's Way that was on Ford Island at the one of the officers' clubs. The pool is still there. When he went there last year, and they used that pool to film the scene in from the officers' club party on December 6th. Now, Captain Toady was just, he was an attack, he was a Los Angeles class attack sub skipper, but he really has a fondness for history and the shoulders that he got to stand on. And he's very appreciative of all those gentlemen and everything that they stood for. And one thing I'll agree with them about is the way they feel about a certain Douglas. That's a name, not an aircraft designation. I think that particular Douglas was the first of the me generation. Because one thing he was sure of was he was all about self-aggrandizement. And we've gotten more than a couple of miles from the lake, the river here. Yep, it was part of the Signal Corps because they were part of the. They were formed originally as in, like the RFC. They were a spotting function for artillery. And then in 1946, they decided, you deserve to be your own service. You pulled your weight. I'm sure quite a few officers chuckled at that, the way we do at the Space Force thing that the Donald did. I'm a believer in Carl Sagan in space exploration. As Jerry Purnell used to say, in space it's raining soup, and we don't even know about spoons yet. Okay, we're still below the VOR horizon. Where's it going to hit us when we do get there? Okay, first VOR is only 40 nautical miles away, so even at this low altitude, we should be starting to pick it up soon. And we're 62 nautical miles from the from the BRP VOR. Okay, we've creeped up to 130 knots indicated again. Puller speed back to 18 inches of manifold pressure. It's already dropped us a couple of knots. Let's think about our landing here at Kiev. Where do we want to go? When we look at the METAR for uniform kilo, kilo, kilo. Okay, 260 at 8 with gusts of 11. And that's 11 meters per second. So we've got a pretty goodly little wind up here at, it's called Antonov 1. Well, it's Zulani Airport. And let's see, 260. We'll use runway 26. If you have it, the VOR is, or the ILS is 108.3. Let's see if we can go ahead and set that up here. Okay. .3. Okay, that's on standby. When we get closer, we'll turn that on and see if we can follow the glide slope in. There, got standby mode on nav 2. One thing about that's nice about flying in Western Europe and the States is the nice availability of VORs to help you navigate your way through. Even when they become scarce toward the Middle East and toward Asia, you've got enough of a heading to get you within range of a VOR to help guide you in out of the void between signals. See if I can reach over here and push this button successfully. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit sick and twisted here. Come on, mouse, cooperate. All right, put us on a little old tune here. Back in FS9, I did a little short, put together a short movie of doing a refueling to this piece of music. That was tricky to arrange. I had I had the tanker on one PC and the uh, aircraft I was refueling on another PC, and they didn't agree with the weather one was running didn't agree with the other, so it was kind of difficult to fly even with the tanker for a goodly distance. But I did manage it for a 5 minute stretch, which is like refuel what you can, guys. Yeah, I know. I've got one of them that I really like. It just needs a couple of tweaks done to it, and it'll be fine. It's not the developer's fault. It was more Asobo's fault when they changed the avionics for AAU2. But it would definitely be fun to do some actual air-to-air tanking when they get it fixed, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, at least that's the one I'm using. I don't think they've updated it the past couple of weeks. Well, thank you, Colonel Fort. Freeware is always appreciated. Like I told Allison on stream, or I think it was told Murph the other day, I finally passed 53 hours in the Wildcat, and it had to make room for this little baby too. I got to, I actually got to play AD&D with this lady singing this song. Her name was Julia Eklar, and for years she was the choir director at the Pittsburgh Baptist Church. Ooh, that's sweet, Colonel Fort. I hope whoever is tackling there's got to be somebody doing it. Whoever's tackling the 707 puts all those packages together with her. Uh-oh. We don't have any scenery for that flat patch of ground. Just the power lines. Such a huge difference between the uh, satellite imagery and the computer generated stuff. Well, hi, Rigel. Nice to see you in. I don't know if you've been here since the beginning, but I included something for you at the very start. Pull that throttle back a little bit more. Get it right at 125 knots if we can. Indicated. Oh, we have a VOR signal. Bing, 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 bing. Winner, winner. Looks like a 305 radial. There, the DME is live, 39.8 nautical miles out from the VOR, 106 knots into ground speed. This on This piece of music always was poignant for me, both as a Trek fan and as just a science fiction fan. Okay, when we get there, see if we can figure out what our outbound radial is going to be from this VOR. I think it's going to be about 75, 70, 65 to 70 is going to be our outbound radials. Get a little closer, we'll take her off of the nav setting and go back on to heading and take off for the end of the ILS approach feather, the ILS feather on the map. Wrong mouse. Okay, we're 45 miles out of Kiev. A little bit of a hill here in this little peninsula. And fuel situation here, a little bit between half and a quarter, or and 3/4 of a tank left. We'll reach up here, switch to the right tank. Okay, let's see. What's that called? KK340. Add that to my flight plan here. Okay, now I don't have to figure it up. It's going to take us there automatically. Now we go just fly heading 330 for about 35 nautical miles. Well, yeah, 35 nautical miles, and that'll put us right at the end of the ILS feather. We'll have to switch to V-lock, and then all we have to do is hit approach. Should take us in. All we got to do is mess with our landing gear and flaps. Passing close to two Ukrainian military airfields. Now they're showing the Antonov 1 is closed, or at least it was back before the unpleasantness. They built a new one farther up the river called UKKM. That's where Mira used to live until she had her accident. And I'm hoping we can get that recreated. That was just such a marvelous aircraft. Colonel Fork is still with us. If Colonel Fork were a Messerschmitt, I'd be toast. Hiding well in the sun glare up there. Okay, the ILS frequency is 108.3. Okay, 21 miles to the BHP VOR. BRP, my bad. And then it's another 6 miles on, I believe, till the waypoint Kilo 340. DME is 19.9, 0.8, 0.7, and we are at 28. So it's about 10 mile difference. Okay, those aren't sheep down there. Don't know whether this guy's raising rock or what kind of crop sheaves those might be. Corn stalks or wheat sheaves or something. Normally, these fields that we're in the States, we have had got these planted with our winter wheat. Decoys for sure, trying to bait out a certain country's armored vehicles. Gotta admit, they're tracked, they're multi-ton, got a big wide track footprint. They make great farm vehicles. One of the best memes I've seen in years was the, instead of saying Jaws, it was titled, it was a poster for tractor. Good comrade, where did my tank go? Like not being able to find your parking spot at Walmart. A 12 miles to the VOR. VOR is now on a 299 radio. That's 115.9. Thank you, Colonel Fork. I appreciate that. Bloodthirsty song for a sweet, peaceable gentleman like myself. All right. Well, we're still doing it. We're doing about 124 indicated, 104 ground speed. Plenty of fuel left. We haven't even used half a tank of fuel yet on tonight's journey. Okay. There, I was beginning to wonder if my VOR2 was going to work or not. Yes, it does getting a signal. We're rapidly approaching the zone of confusion for the VORs. As I finish the show tonight, I am going to go eat. I delayed cooking my dinner until after my show tonight. Okay, I can see the VOR on the map now. It's off on our left-hand side. Leave our VORs alone here. See if we can pick them up on the other side of the zone for a couple of miles before we switch to the ILS. Not only did I put off the food, I've put off some of my medications because of the drastic effects they have on my behavior. Wait after my show, I'll take my medications. Hey, there's an airport off to our right. Oh, that's a nice big airport. Dual runways. How about that? How civilized. Plane spotting there. That'd be a whole new experience. Air India, I'm looking at you. If I remember my map correctly, we will have to cross the river back to the other side to get to our airport. We'll be established on our glide slope by then. At least I hope. Take it in. Use use the talk. That came out of nowhere. Okay, we just passed Uniform Kilo Bravo Bravo. .8 nautical miles to our waypoint. Good chance to last chance to look around before we get really busy inside the airplane. Colonel Fork has stayed with us the whole trip tonight, for which we are eternally grateful. Soon we'll be coming up on much the last bastion of our river piracy. What good's taking loot if you ain't got a fence to sell it to? We were a big mercenary unit. Three muskets and one cannon amongst a lot of us. The one 125 or 124 outbound radial. Okay, 4 nautical miles till we pick up our glide slope. See smokestacks in the city, but our airport is not in sight yet. Hit switch frequencies now. I'm going to wait until, see, go ahead and switch V-lock, heading mode. That needle starts to twitch toward the center. We're going to activate our approach. Low on the glide slope. nautical mile to the ILS. Okay, now click approach. She's got it. Pull back the power. Okay, 8 miles out. We'll wait till about 4 miles, and then we'll drop our gear. Fork, are you hope you're able to follow your own ILS in here? The Beaver is more than capable of doing this. Awesome. You going to do just follow the glide slope visually, or are you going to let the robot take it? Hey, it's still just as easy. All you got to do is follow the little X markers. At 1,500 feet, we're still low on the glide slope. We've got quite a ways to go before we intercept. Okay, feet back up on the pedals here. Ooh, nice. I wish I'd have gotten that at one point. There's the north gate of Kiev features so prominently in Prokofiev's music. I'd like to have I'd like to have the scenery that goes with it. Okay, it's on TO. Great. I'll grab that. I should have grabbed it before tonight. There's the runway in sight. Okay, gear down. And there's the glide slope. Bingo. Take us down, Scotty.
Moving altitude.
Okay, gear is down. Well, lights are on, but I'm not getting the gear down. Light. Test is valid. Okay, there I can hear him. Okay, gear is down and locked. 3 green. 300 feet above ground level. A little bit to the right. Okay, autopilot off.
Autopilot.
A little bit left rudder here. Drop the throttle. More flat. There we go. Go a little long here. For a nice gentle touchdown. Up the taxiway up here. Pull our flaps back in and clear the runway for Colonel Ford. Be right behind us here. Yep. Taxi quickly, but not take off again. To 50 knots. Ourselves slowed down here. Start braking. Take the next available taxiway. There's our big friend, the yellow X. Must be a good spot to take. They wouldn't mark it with an X. And now we head for the rapidly decaying international terminal. There's a nice giant FPO over here. I'm looking for some radioactive Smurfs. Oh, there we go. In between the two towers. Oh, instead of turning off to park, I want to read what the sign says up here. Maybe just a store ad for all I know. Yeah, this is just the native Kiev in the MSFS. I don't have any add-ons for Kiev. This is just what Asobo has given us. Okay, it's not a sign, it's a house. There's a Sky Chef truck, or the equivalent of a Sky Chef truck. Always parked next to the food. Bring her around here. And stop. Set the parking brake. Okay. Sure your partner is unbuckled. At least you don't have to worry about stepping off into the prop. But we'll not worry about that because we're going to cut the prop. Okay, prop cut. Engine off. We're click. That's a good thing. They've included the engine cooling click. Pitot tube off. Turn coordinator off. Generator, fuel pump off. Engine off. And battery off. Turn off the magnetos. Left, right, off. Battery off. Fuel set to off. Yeah, you definitely have different scenery. I can see your pontoons. Well, at least now they want to move the truck. Gosh, I just watched a video with one of these trucks in it. Actually went behind the scenes and showed you what happens with these trucks at a major airport. And it was fascinating to watch. I think they said something like 10 or 15 million meals a year go through that airport, which is why their production facilities are right on the edge of the runway. And as much as we complain about airplane food, a lot of it looked really good. They've got a cordon bleu chef that prepares the meals every day. So if there's any fault, it's not in the way it's cooked. So welcome to Kiev. And let's open our door here. And one thing about this aircraft is you don't have to step too far to get in and out of it. You don't need a step ladder. It just plop, there you are. What's difficult is getting in and out of it in the water. Actually have to climb up out of it in the water. Well, I see that there's two of you that have stuck through us with me throughout this flight. I appreciate that. I'm still working on things and trying to figure stuff out. And I appreciate both of you for hanging in there and putting up with my madness while we try it. And otherwise, welcome to Kiev, the city full of nice people. More familiar with people from Kharkov, but That's where my friends are, is in Kharkov. But Kiev's still a great city, and we're glad everybody showed up for tonight. I wish everybody could agree on actually what an elevation is, and so we can dodge this scenery issue. But I can recommend this little uh, Nardi here, Colonel Fork. This is a really nice little general aviation float plane. It's very complete. Got a good instrument package. But now you know why I'm called Kazaki Flyer, because we're a bunch of river pirates around here. We live on a river. Why not be river pirates? One last try here. Okay, that didn't work. And I don't think there's going to be much of a raid tonight. And again, thank everybody for putting up with my nuttiness and strangeness. And we'll hopefully see everybody next week. I hate the time change. Next time, Mr. Franklin, keep your mouth shut. Don't mind you talking about turkeys, but time change, leave that stuff alone. And Rigel, I hope you can hear this and understand. Hopefully, we get a chance to chat with you a little bit later. Miss you, and we'll holler at you soon. Now, everybody else, good night, and thanks for popping in.